Hi there everybody, it's Rota here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me again today for another card making tutorial, and we're going to be doing something with the Happiness Abounds stamp set and coordinating Blossoming Happiness dies. Okay, so I haven't used this set yet. I've had it for a while and I keep looking at it and I keep seeing people making really pretty things with it, and I'm like, I need to get this this bundle out and do something with it. So this is what we're doing today. So that's what we're using. You will find that in the annual catalogue. It is part of a suite as well called Hues of Happiness, and there is some designer series paper in that collection. So I'm generally not a designer series paper girl. But this is a really superb piece of set of papers if you're into that kind of thing. Now this was totally Jane Frank's fault that I purchased this, because she did an amazing inspiration table at one of our team events and I was like, oh my days, where is that paper from? And that was it. So this isn't a full pack, there's some sheets missing, I think. Well, there might be one of each on there, but anyway, the point is, how pretty is it, right, with all these lovely flowers, and on the back there's like these sort of paint backgrounds in sort of rainbows. This one's, love that, I think that's really cute. So it's a really colourful pack of paper. Okay, and the dies coordinate with some of the papers. So this one, for example, there's a die that matches that and that one, and in fact this one I think is covered in coordinated ones, and I bet the leaves do too. Okay, so there's lots of versatility in this pack if you're into that kind of thing. I've used this a very small portion of this because I needed it for a particular project, and I will be bringing that project to you at some point. Might be next week now, but nonetheless. But it's a really nice suite, and I think there might be some embellishments in with it. Ooh, I do not have my catalogue handy, but take a look at it. The links will be in the description for those anyway. And if you're browsing online, you'll see them all on the same page if you look at a digital catalogue anyway. So that's what we're doing. Okay, let's just pop that to one side so we don't get all that all tangled up and that all over there. So as a result of doing my other project, I ended up with these little strips of paper. I can't even tell you how wide that is. It's probably about ½ inch. Not even that. Yeah, it's about ½ inch strips of the 12 by 12 paper. So I thought, okay, need to do something with that, and because you know you can't waste anything. And I'd seen online in Instagram and various other places, and in fact most recently in our project share, Jill Chapman at Paper Daisy Crafting, who's in our project share on a Thursday, she'd done something with cardstock along a similar lines. Now some people call it like the floating DSP technique or something like that, but essentially it's strips of DSP that have been layered onto some vellum to give it that look there. So that was where that all came from. So we're going to do that today, and of course we're going to spin up the colours because we're using a different strip of DSP. Okay, so let's get cracking. The bits and pieces, I'm just going to leave that in front of me because otherwise I'm going to forget what I'm doing. The bits and pieces are already sort of cut already, so basic white card base, and I'm bringing in Melon Mambo. This one's with Night of Navy, and I've used Balmy Blue and Pool Party for the blooms on that, just to sort of coordinate it, because that will be Pool Party. So just trying to tie all the bits together. This one's going to bring you Melon Mambo because that's the pink on this paper here. Okay, so those are all cut. Do your layers to you know the measurements you want. I've ended up with one a little smaller than the sample, simply because that's the piece of Melon Mambo I had, and I didn't want to cut into a fresh sheet just for this. So slightly smaller than the original sample, but cut some layers, that coordinate with your paper, essentially. That's it. And then I've got a piece of white vellum. This is 3 1/4 inches square because we're going to be die cutting it in the circle. You could totally use a punch if you've got a punch that you want to use, and equally I'm using a circle, but you could also use a square or whatever. So I wanted to use the largest circle to give it a really nice sort of you know, focal point on the card, and that 3 1/4 inch square fits on there nicely without wasting a whole heap of paper in the process. All right. Oh, he's not supposed to be there. So the dies that I use a lot and I reach for, I put on a magnetic sheet and just keep in a drawer literally to my hand to the left, so I can just pick them up rather than trying to rummage through which stamp set they coordinate with and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what we'll be using later on, so that's just an FYI. So let's get cracking then with what we're going to be doing. So I'm just going to bring in my little foam mat here, which is just going to help me a little bit with lining the stuff up. I'm just protecting my surface from gunky things. But what I also need to do is cut this down, don't I? So I'm going to use my trimmer. And we know that the maximum width of that circle is 3 1/4, and I'm not going to be particularly fussy about which portions and what order all this is going to be in. And then I'm going to cut a couple of about 3, because it's going to get smaller as we go from top to bottom, isn't it? Just want to conserve some paper, because on the other one I used 2 different designs, which made it go a little further. So which one was the longest one? Oh, can't pick those up now. I think that was the slightly longer one, wasn't it? Did I put them down right? Yeah. So like I say, we want that across the middle. Then we can pop that one in, top and bottom as well. So we might just end up with the 3 strips on this one, which I think will still look okay. And maybe we squeeze the other one right at the top, because we'll be covering up a lot of the bottom. You see, on the bottom I can't actually see that, so we won't actually be able to get away with 4 strips, you see. So we might just pop that one at the top, evenly space it down, and then work from there. Okay, so we're just going to use my trusty stamp and seal. To pop that down, and I say, because we've got a grid on here, we can easily find a centre point on this, which is about there. So we'll pop that one down, kind of something like straight. And then we'll add these ones a little bit above. Somewhere around there. Now, of course, if you've got more strips of paper and you're not being so stingy like me, you don't have to worry about all this cutting it down. Just get it across and cut it down afterwards. But say, I'm just trying to conserve a bit of that paper rather than cutting into another sheet. And then I'm hoping that the die cut will actually cover it. Let me just grab that, because I know it's quite a snug fit around the edge, so it's going to come in quite a bit. So we're well inside the boundary on that one, so that's fine. And then we'll plop this one at the top. So yeah, so I'm probably making life a little hard for myself by trying to be so stingy, but it's fine. You can go to town with this. But the important thing is to leave that gap to give it that sort of floating look, if you like. Okay, so that's what we've got there, just some strips of paper onto some vellum. And I'm going to bring in my mini emboss, because that means we can do the die cut in front of you here. So this is the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It's so cute, totally love it. So here's my cutting plates. So I cut into one plate and keep a cleanish one for the top. So on the on each of the plates you'll see what you need. So we need a number 1 for our die cutting, and we sandwich our paper between two number 2 plates. And when you buy a Stampin' Cut and Emboss, whether it be the large big boss or the mini, you get all the plates you need. So here's a regular embossing platform thing, which is the number 3, and again it tells you the sandwich, and then this one's for your 3D embossing folders. So you get everything you need all in the box. Don't forget there's a great joining offer in October, so this could be something that you add into your kit. So do have a look at that, because you get that extra value during October. Forget exactly how much, but the starter kit is always the best value item in the catalogue, because you get all that bonus stuff and it's free shipping, and you get to be part of the Stampin' Up community, which in itself is flipping fantastic. Okay, so just taping that into place, we've got a number 1 plate with a number 2 on top, another 2 on top. Sandwich that together, introduce it to the machine and start winding that through. You can just hold on to the top to keep it sturdy, because obviously I'm on my craft surface, so wind that all the way through, pops out the back, it folds away. It's so light, you can just hold it around. It's so brilliant. My big boss is just sat next to me here going, oh, you don't love me anymore, but I do, I love it. I just wanted to be able to bring you in the mini boss today, just so that you could see it in action. And there's it's very clear in the catalogue as well, which die sets will fit through the mini as well. There's a little icon in the catalogue that indicates that. Don't have something handy with the icon on it, but it's very clear in the catalogue if it will fit. So there we go, there's our die cut circle with this sort of floaty look to it. Alright, so that's going to be there, and we can make sure our leaves cover up the bottom there, so we'll never know that there's a piece missing. It was there the whole time, you just couldn't see it. Okay, so that's the image we're going to portray. Now my strips have just been plonked on higgledy-piggledy. Right, if it really bothers you, obviously just arrange your strips as you see fit. Right, just need to stamp our flowers. So I've already got stuff prepped on the blocks, because we're going to do some colouring with our stamping blends, our alcohol markers. We're going to use our water-based Memento ink. Okay, so this flower we're going to do 2 of. That hasn't stamped particularly well, but it's fine. That was user error. Okay, so that was much better. And we want one of these more open ones. And we want some leaves. Might even do 3 of these, just so we've got the extra one to play with in case we need it for some concealment. Okay, easy peasy. light tapping straight up and down, no problem. And while we're stamping, I'll also bring in the sentiment, and I've just got another little strip of basic white there. And again, to coordinate the whole thing, I'm going to bring in some Melon Mambo ink, light tapping. Now, excuse me if my head appears, or at least some of my, maybe my hair's very fluffy, so it might screen bomb you. So I'm just going to line up that piece of paper, so it gives me an opportunity just to line up the stamp. Just hover over it, and when you're happy you've got it straight down, firm pressure, hold it, lift up, and if your paper sticks, that's fine, just pull it away. Okay, and we get a lovely stamped sentiment. Stamping's fantastic. It's all about the technique, and once you've mastered that lovely tap 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 and pressure, it's a doddle. And the Stampin' Up stamps are super cool, and they're fantastic quality. Just giving this a really good clean. The pink ink's staying, so I just need to, and a lot of people wouldn't be bothered. Slightly bothers me when my clear stamps end up pink, so I do like to give them a good clean as soon as I've used them. So just doing that off camera, just there we go, that's done that. Okie dokie. So now we need to do our colouring of our little flowers here. So we've got the Melon Mambo that we can bring in. So I've brought out my Stampin' Blends markers. Now, you don't have to use blends to colour these images in, of course. You could use, you know, your pencils or whatever. You would just have to use a different ink. So if you're going to use a water-based colouring medium like watercolour pencils or something like that, you would need to use a waterproof ink like StazOn. Okay. So again, this is not going to be a colouring masterclass of any description whatsoever. So you can see, I mean, that looks, you know, pretty random. But basically what I've done is gone around the bits where there would be sort of some creases. So that's going to be in shadow because it's behind this petal at the front here. That bit's all tucked in behind, that bit is. So, you know what? It's a rose, you're not going to go too far wrong. I think it's a rose anyway. Not really into flowers in terms of identifying them. They look real pretty. I think being a long-term hay fever sufferer, I don't really pay much attention to flowers. Then, so that was the dark. And then I'm going to go over those bits and out a little bit, leaving some white. So you can see how careful I'm being. Not. Does not have to be perfect, because guess what? Flowers aren't perfect either. Okay. They've got splotchy bits on them and all that kind of stuff. And then to bring in the third colour, I'm actually using dark Flirty Flamingo, which is a bit of a different shade. But we need something to bring that light colour in. And if you go over the rest of the image where the Melon Mambo's been, do you know what? This is so untidy colouring, but we're die cutting it, so it's fine. It sort of tones down that pink and brings it closer to the Melon Mambo colour. And then you will probably want to just bring in a bit more of that dark if it's, and do it again. And it's kind of, sorry, using the brush end, kind of fascinating how, even though they aren't coordinating colours, as it were, they will play. They just gotta work together a little bit. And the way you do that is by using plenty of ink. So if I turn this cardstock over in a sec, I've done that, you'll see that this is bled all the way through, hence having this protective mat on. This is the deluxe mat from the Stamparatus. So see how that's bled through? And that's part of the blending process, that the ink's got to soak through and and interact with the next one along in order to get that blend. Okay, so this one's dried back a little bit. Now there's a school of thought that says that you get a better blend if you let that first layer dry first. I'm not sure it makes too much of a difference either way. Try it, see what works for you. Do you? I am merely, I'm offering serving suggestions of what you can do. Sorry, gone quiet then because I was trying to get that done. And if this one doesn't quite match that one in terms of the colour, it doesn't matter, because no two roses are going to be identical either. Even ones that are solid in colour, I would guess have their own little imperfections. So again, just intensifying some of that where I think it needs it. Getting that cardstock nice and saturated. Get those inks moving. So I'm not taking, not being delicate about it. Just putting it where I think it needs to go. Okay, and so the lines will sort themselves out. Same with the big one. We're going to have lots of clustered new petals in the centre there, so plenty of the dark marker, and then just drop in that darkness where you think, where a petal is either curled under or in the shadow of something else. Okay, and I promise you, whatever you decide to do, or wherever you decide your shadows are going to be, it's going to look fine. So again, just going over those areas and blending out towards the edge a little bit, but leaving some white so we can go in with our flirty marker. So, just like we did with the other one. And like I say, it's about practice. Get some images like this, stamp them out, sit in front of the telly and have a bit of a play with it. And have a go mixing different colours, like, Melamombo and Flirty. I'm not going to go back over that one. I think that one looks alright as it is, actually. I think. Yeah. And then similarly, what I did with the leaves was I used a combo of Granny Apple Green. So I'm just popping the dark one into the base of those leaves there. That, easy, just like a little V, not even that, right? In the bottom, get the light Granny Apple Green and go over that V and some. So you've still got the tips that are white. I've gone out the lines, but I don't care. I'm going to be die cutting it. do on a straight line, you'll get a better blend if it's not a straight line. So that they interlock, you know. So, and then my third colour for this is dark soft seafoam. Okay, and then I'm going to bring that in from the tip and then go over the whole lot. Okay, cool, right? And once that sort of does its dries and stuff, it's going to look even better. I did originally try Mint Mac. Just wasn't what I was going for. Try it, you might like it. And don't forget, as your markers wear, you know, they get lighter and stuff, so you may get different effects if your markers are a little older and drier. So be brave, have a play, and it is all about just practice. Okay, that's it. They're good. Okay, brilliant. And then just because it's awesome, we're going to bring in Wink of Stella. This is so cool because I can add glitter without it getting all over me. And again, you don't have to be precious about getting it all over everywhere. It's supposed to be subtle, so just bash that on. And it's easier to do it when it's still in the cardstock like this rather than trying to do it after, which I tend to do because I end up forgetting. Okay, so it's a really lovely subtle glitter that is mess free, but it's probably as mess free as glitter can get. So you get this lovely little twinkle like a starry sky. Look at that. So we're going to do all our die cutting, so the mini can come back out in a second. Where did I put the dies? Did I put them back on the sheet? That was daft of me. Dies. This one, and this one is what we're going to need. Need some low tack tape or something. So I just use sort of using up some retired washi tape that I've got. Just take off the excess tack on your skin or something first. So you don't pull up your cardstock. Line up the die with your stamped image. These ones are quite nice and easy to line up. And again, we can bring in our mini boss. So I'm putting, like, you know, there's 3 dies on here, and as long as they don't overlap, the only thing that will cut into a die is another die, right? So don't make them overlap, and you'll be fine. Okay, so remember, it's the base platform, bottom plate, cardstock with dies, another clear plate on top, present it to the machine and start winding that through. Not too close to the edge though, Verity. That just didn't wind through. You might see that other people actually don't use their white plate on the base. simply because their machine's just got slightly different. Well, every machine is unique, you see, so theirs might be a little tighter, and they were struggling to get the white plate through, so sometimes you might see other people using their grey plate instead, which is just a hair thinner and goes through a little easier. So just repositioning that. I don't need this one again. I'll just put that to one side. Reposition this one. And we go again, and we'll just have to do it. We won't die cut the third leaf, just to save a bit of time. But you obviously you can do that if you need to. And voila, plates away over there, and here's all our die cuts ready. Just need to punch the edge of our sentiment, so I'm going to use the little this one, Picker Banner, to cut my little fishtail banners here. So we can just slot that in at the back of the punch, slip that in there. I'm going to punch it twice because I know I'm a reasonable amount away from the edge, which is cool. And then we can just snip off the excess there. Okay, so now we need to put stuff together. Okay. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Right, so there we go. Just my stamping seal now, just to get those layers put together. And you see me doing this a million times. So, but if you're fresh to the channel, I always do it sideways like this, so I can eyeball that top border, bottom border, and this border. And if it's cut straight, the top will look after itself. Exactly the same when you put it onto your card base. So card base is half a sheet of A4. I'm in the UK, so I'm using A4. But again, just eyeballing this, holding it in my dominant hand as a lefty. Is that even, that even, and that even? Yeah, that looks good. And then that's cool too. Nice sharp crease along the top, so that your card doesn't do the splits on the mantelpiece. Okay, there we go. That's thick Whisper White for the base. I say Whisper White. Oh, it hasn't been Whisper White for some time. Basic White is what it's called. Changed it. So we're popping this one up, and we can conveniently hide our dimensionals behind those strips of paper, which is amazing. Love dimensionals, and it isn't one of my cards without dimensionals. So we can peel those off. So these are just little foam hexagons. You get 100 on a sheet, you get 3 sheets in a pack, and they're amazing. So that's something like straight and something like in the middle, which is about there. But you get 100 thingies, but all the strip around the edges is sticky too, so you can easily slice that up and use that too. The sentiment's going to go on along here, but we're just going to put that on with some seal and just have that hang over there. make sure the end, I like things jutting out into the border, because I think it just sort of makes your eye draw into that design. Okay, and then I tend to do sort of position the largest element. So right underneath the vellum, just with some seal there, and right underneath the vellum up here as well. Okay, and that is it. I decided not to add any more rhinestones or anything. I just wanted to keep it as it is with the Wink of Stella on there. Okay, so 2 cards there made with this sort of floating DSP sort of idea. Okay, pulling in the colours from the designer series paper, adding on some of that Wink of Stella. Okay, so play with your paper. You don't have to use a floral paper, just use something else. Those painted backgrounds, so that you've got the different colours in there, so that could look really cute. So just have a look, rummage through your stash, see what you got. These could equally be punches or anything, so lots of ideas to work with there and to try out mixing your blends. Hope you've enjoyed that. Links are in the description for anything that you've seen me use today. So do take a look, and obviously do make sure that you check out that joining offer. Honestly, it's not to be missed. It's only available during October, and I'd love to have you on board. So it's really worthwhile having a look. So that's it from me for today. Do take care, stay safe out there. Really appreciate all your support. You know who you are, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.